We're going to be doing the nut meats, nut and seed meats this evening. When it comes to protein, of course we know that all foods in nature that are protein come with fat. So that's the main bind between all protein is fat. So you cannot get around fat. You need fat. The issue is the quality of fat that we need. We've been so caught up with consuming animal protein and getting the large loads of animal fat in the process that the body just doesn't break down. It sits on the body, it turns into this marble, which ultimately becomes wax as it's compressed over the years in our system. In a lot of our bodies, it just becomes cholesterol. So in reality, the cholesterol itself is animal fat. So, but you know, they kind of make it sound nice when they tell us just cut back on your cholesterol, rather than say cut back on eating animals, because cholesterol is not found in plant foods at all. There's no cholesterol in any plant food at all. So with these nuts and seeds that we're going to use to do our nut meat, it will be zero cholesterol in these meats. We're going to start off with the easiest one to make. And what we do, there's basically two machines that you need. Or actually, you can just get away with one machine to do meats, and that's the food processor. So pretty much everything can be done in the food processor. So to start off with, we're going to do a curry walnut meat. We're going to get 3 cups of walnuts. Measure out 3 cups of walnuts. We're going to put it in our mixing bowl. We have our measuring cup right here. We're going to put 3 cups of walnuts in our mixing bowl. And along with the walnuts, as it is meat, we're just going to season it the way we would traditionally season meat, period. So that's it, just 3 cups of walnuts. So how do you normally season your meat? What sort of things that we use to season meat? Okay, huh? Salt. Okay, so we're going to choose to use the salt that's easiest for the body to process, and that is our black salt. So the black salt comes from India. It's what is used in all traditional Indian cuisine. It's the only salt that you are allowed to consume during fasting, while fasting in India, because it's the only salt that leaves the body. So on the label it says black salt, but it's the traditional name is Kala Namak, K-A-L-A-N-A-M-A-K. So we're going to put some salt. Let's go ahead and put a half a teaspoon of salt in the 3 cups of nuts. So it all depends on how much salt you consume as to how much we use. You could use up to a teaspoon, but we go easy on the salt, because the salt is something you can always add, but it's hard to take away from the dish. So it's best to start off with the minimal amount, and if somebody in the family needs more, then they can always add, rather than using a lot, and those who don't want that much salt, then they're stuck. Besides the salt, what else do you normally season your meat with? Pepper. So we like hot meat. Okay. So, all right, that sounds good. We're going to go ahead. Is that hot pepper or sweet pepper?
Hot.
Hot pepper. Okay. So we got some of the real hot ones. This is this particular one is the habanero pepper, the Cuban hot pepper. And we just get the stem off, and we don't need to cut that part of the pepper because there's nothing wrong with it, because it's the cleanest part. Since we just took the stem from there, nothing got in under the stem. So we cut it in half, and we're going to use half of it Let's cut it up in smaller pieces. We're going to use the seed too because we want it real hot. We don't, you know. So just cut the whole thing in about 8 pieces. So anybody can't handle hot? Everybody's hot. That's it. Either you're hot or you're not. You know, it's that halfway in between and doesn't really make sense. So we're going to use a half of this Cuban pepper. What else do you use in seasoning your meats? Spices. What kind of spices are good for seasoning meat? Thyme. Well, that's an herb. The difference between herbs and spices is herbs are leaves. Spices could be bark, root, seeds, berries, anything else other than leaves. Thyme, but yes, but thyme is definitely a good staple for all meat seasoning. We don't have to cut it too fine because it's going to be ground. We just cut it up in about 8 large pieces and that's good enough. We're going to pull the leaves off of our fresh thyme. Just pull the leaves. You don't need to use the stem. Just pull the leaves off. And also, if you're going to use dry thyme, then you would use half of the amount that we use fresh. So we pull all the leaves off of this quantity of thyme, and we're going to measure it off in our teaspoon and see how much thyme you can put a lot of thyme, especially if it's fresh. It really makes a big difference. So we're going to step it up a little bit more. Put some more thyme in there. That's why when you go to Jamaica, that's the spice. That's the herb. There's a lot of thyme in Jamaica. They use lots of thyme. And that's why, and thyme is free in Jamaica. Oh, it is. Every time you buy scallion, there's thyme always come with it. So that's why when you deal with Jamaicans, as they say, soon come, you know, they got a lot of time. So they ain't rushing nothing, you know. So you got to know how to deal with them. What else? We season, so that's the herb. So traditionally, we put at least 1 herb in our season. What other herbs are good for seasoning meat? Bay leaves, tarragon, sage, rosemary. The strong herbs are what is usually used traditionally in meat. Oregano, marjoram. Now garlic, that's different now. That's not an herb. It's not a spice. Cumin is an herb. Yes, cumin is a spice. But we're going to do curry on this one. So we're going to use the actual curry powder, which has cumin in it. This particular curry powder, the Indian mild curry, it's a blend of coriander, turmeric, anise, chili powder, cumin, cinnamon, star anise, white pepper, fenugreek, nutmeg, cardamom. So it's quite a strong thyme curry powder. Nice mix. So we're going to put, for the amount that we have, and since it's mild, it's fine because we already have some hot pepper in there. We're going to put, for this amount, that's a half a tablespoon. We're going to put 1 tablespoon of curry powder. So it's going to be pretty light. We don't want it really strong. Now, of course, traditionally, most people burn their curry when they're cooking their meats. And what's the purpose for burning the curry? For the curry not to run your well, they said to burn your stomach, but it's really not to run your system. Because the curry, the active ingredient in curry is turmeric. And turmeric is a cleanser. So you will get the runs normally when you use curry. So that's why they put it with the curry goat, because the goat needs to keep running. But when you burn the curry, you deactivate the turmeric, so it don't run your belly. So it's really, you're destroying the medicine when you burn it. So it's good when you're using raw food not to worry about that. Okay, so someone mentioned garlic. So garlic is always great to put in our meats. Usually we put 1 or 2 things from the onion family. Onion, garlic, scallion, chives. And the active ingredient in this whole family is mustard oil. Mustard oil. So the garlic has more mustard oil. than anything else besides the mustard. That's why mustard is very strong, because it's full of mustard oil. So we're going to go ahead and get some garlic here. For this amount, we're going to put 3 cloves of garlic. So we're going to peel the garlic and we're going to press our garlic. You want to get a garlic press. So ideally, once you peel the garlic, you press it right into your mix, because you activate the mustard oil by pressing the garlic. And the mustard oil is antiseptic. It's a deodorant. So it deodorizes the body. So a lot of garlic is always great. The only thing though about garlic, well, the whole onion family, and particularly the garlic, this whole mustard oil, it stimulates the appetite. So the more garlic you use, the more you're going to eat. The more food you're going to eat, because it's an appetite stimulant. So you got to be careful if you don't want to eat too much, though, don't put too much garlic in your meal. So we use the garlic press, and we're going to press these 3 cloves of garlic. So what else do you normally would put in your meats? Forgot it's been a while since y'all ate meat. Huh? There are other things that go into meats. Huh? Sorry, I can't hear you. Wait, I think something is blocking me from.
She's telling you sassoon. That's like a powder. But she's talking about real meat.
It's like a seasoned salt.
A seasoned salt.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Okay, well, we got salt already.
Right.
Okay.
What else up there?
Okay, normally
Parsley. I put parsley.
parsley. Parsley is always good. Cilantro. Well, those are still herbs. Those are still herbs. So yeah, you could do more than one herb. The cumin, I mean the parsley, the cilantro, which are the fresh coriander. Or you can add other spices. It really depends on what you're looking for. So we want you to have a broad base to create from. So when we give you this type of recipe like this, we're just giving you one option. So you can substitute, or add additional things to it. But also, there are extenders that we put in meats. There's extenders, things like, for example, if you're doing like some steak or some chopped meat or something like that, you always saute like onions and celery and bell peppers and these kind of things, because the meat is too tough, it's too much. So with this here, we're going to add some celery to this. We're going to add a good amount of celery, because we want to like really lighten up the richness of the protein. We're going to use 3 stalks of celery. We're going to also use yellow pepper. So let's go, we're going to use 1/3 of a yellow pepper. We're going to use 1/3 of a red pepper. And also we're going to use some onion as well. So we're going to use a piece of red onion, about 1/3 of a medium-sized onion. So especially when you're working with nut protein, and the nuts are very rich, and also very expensive. It's great to put some things in there to extend it, to stretch your value. So this is what, like in the food industry, because this is value added. So when you go to a health food store or some restaurant and you go buy like a nut meat, you'll see like there's all kind of other stuff seems to be in it. Some zucchini, some mushrooms, some peppers, sauteed peppers and things like that. So these are extenders. These to really, help with giving you more value. What we're going to do, actually, it looks like that curry is not enough for the amount of extenders we're adding on. So we're going to go ahead and add another tablespoon of curry. So it's going to be 2 tablespoons of curry powder altogether. And actually, I've reached for another one. This is a different curry. This is the Madras curry. The Madras curry is the primo curry. So we're going to go ahead and give you a mixture of the madras. This particular one has red pepper, and it's mild. So you know when it's a red pepper, it's a mild pepper. Red pepper, coriander, cumin, turmeric, ginger, black pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, and cloves. So you see the difference between the two blends. You know, so you play around and see which one you like the most. But we're going to give you a fusion of the madras and the other one. And you could get a madras curry from people from Trinidad. You can get one from people from Guyana, from India, and all three of them could be so different. Or from different regions of India, you get a madras curry, and they're all different. So all this to say that you can make up your own. You can make up your own. Let's go ahead and add all these things to it. So we chop everything about a 1-inch size piece, and we add everything right to our mixing bowl. But it's the Indians are the spice masters of the world, so they figured it out already. So you don't need to try to make up something. Just go ahead, and spices are pretty reasonable. So you just go ahead and just go to an Indian spice shop, and that's where you find the black salt as well, at the Indian spice shop. And talking about black salt, we're going to actually add a little more black salt. We're going to add another half a teaspoon because of the amount of vegetables we're putting in there. So it's 1 teaspoon altogether of the black salt. So all of this gets mixed up. Get our mixing spoon and stir it up. So if you have one of these, the Champion juicer, you use it with this, your homogenizing blank, not the one that has the juice screen. So this homogenized. So what this is going to do is grind this mixture down for you. So this is like the most simplest way to do a nut meat on this level. But we're going to show you the different processes, the different possibilities of how to do this. So India is going to go ahead, bring that right up close, and we're going to just sit the bowl right down, and let's go ahead. Just use a spoon and dip some out. Go right into our system right here. Bring the bowl closer to this side. Let's use a larger spoon. So you mix the vegetables and the nuts together. Everything gets mixed together. Now there may be a little liquid coming out at the bottom, so you can push this all the way back. But normally with that blank in there, you're just getting everything ground coming out through one end. But there might be a little drip, so you push it under. So actually what you're going to end up with is a pate, a walnut pate. So you see how simple this is. This is real fast food. And some people say, oh, it's so complicated to do raw food. It takes so much time. But with this kind of stuff, this is simple. This is very fast food, easy to do. But I say when you're buying organic nuts, organic walnuts could cost you $10, $12 a pound, easy, $15 a pound. But you add a little celery in there, a little onion and some peppers, then you get a better value for your investment. And you don't need to eat rich protein. So this is good like this. Now, one thing you could do with these types of nut meats is when you set them up, well, what we're going to do, because we want you to sample along with us as we go along. So we're just going to do a little quick setup for you with this. We're going to do a nori roll with this. So we're just going to get a little lettuce and put some chopped lettuce mixed in with our walnut. So we're going to chop this lettuce fine. We'll wash it off and then spin it dry to get the moisture out. And then we're just going to wrap it with the walnut and give you a nice nori roll. This is a place where you really want to put a lot of greens. A lot of lettuce works good with this mixture you have here. So I'm going to chop a little bit more lettuce to go along with this. So this is what we would call an appetizer in the mix here. There are many different ways that we can enjoy this type of combination of a nut meat or a pate. So this is just one way that we're showing you how to enjoy it. So you remove everything from the machine, from the homogenizer, and it's all ready to go. So we just wash it right in the spinner and spin it and get the moisture out. Then we're going to roll it up in the, let's go ahead and get a piece of paper towel for this. And okay, that's good. It's good to clean your machines right away. You don't want to leave these things to sit around and dry out. Of course, the longer you leave it, the harder it is to clean. So we'll clean that up and bring the vegetable spinner. Now all this gets mixed together here. So you see what we have here, this curry walnut meat, or in this sense, a walnut pate. You might say, wow, it looks like a tuna salad or chicken salad. You see the texture? That's that celery, the texture of the celery, all that fiber in there. So it makes a nice spread, a nice sandwich spread. And it's got a good amount of curry, so it looks pretty rich. We'll go ahead and get organized for our next nut meat here. So that was the walnut. Now we're going to actually switch up and do a seed. We're going to do a sunflower seed meat. And sunflower is very rich in iron. Great source of protein like all of your seeds and nuts, but it's particularly rich in iron. And what we're going to do, there's another process, another way we're going to work with this to show you. So in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and grind the sunflower seeds in their homogenizer by themselves. Then we're going to do a mixture of vegetables to go with the sunflower seeds. Now, one of the things we want to do, sunflower seeds tend to oxidize. So it normally will turn dark, on the outside when it oxidizes. So this is a good candidate to mix with beets. So we're going to do a meat beet here. We're going to get one. Actually, we're just going to do one beet on this because we're going to save the other beet to do another dish with beet. So we're going to get one beet and peel it. With beets, it's good to peel it because there's so much crevices. So within the crevices, the cracks of the beet, there's bacteria in the soil, all the dirt that's in the cracks. So you could use a knife and peel it, or you could use a vegetable peeler.
So for the purpose of this demonstration, you're going to do one beet?
Yeah, we're using one beet for this purpose here.
Soak all the seeds and the nuts first?
I'm sorry?
Did you soak the walnuts before?
All your nuts, all your seeds are all soaked for 12 hours. 12 hours, drain and rinse. So everything we're using tonight is soaked. The walnuts, the sunflower seeds, pecans, almonds, they're all soaked for 12 hours, drain and rinse before you use them. We soak them to remove the enzyme inhibitor so that they can digest properly. And that's another value added because you're really stretching the nuts with water. And that makes them a whole lot more digestible than eating them unsoaked. So we have our beet, one medium-sized beet that we cut into small pieces. We're going to go ahead and add some red onion. So we're going to put the lettuce in our spinner and spin it. We're going to add 1/4 of a large red onion. We're going to rinse the lettuce and spin it. So we'll cut the onion about the same size as we have cut the beet. And this is something we want to make this red and rich. So we're going to add more red to it, more flame to it. We're going to add some red pepper to it as well. So we're using 1/2 of a red pepper, 1/2 of a large red pepper is going into our mix here. We'll add a little hot pepper. In this case, we're not going to make it hot. We don't want to do everything extra hot for you tonight. So we're just going to add 1/2 of a hot pepper without the seed. And we're going to keep it hot or red. We're going to add some chili powder and some paprika. That's the paprika there. This is the chili powder. So it's going to be really, really meaty looking, you know, give it that rich meat look. And instead of adding celery to give it that moisture, we're going to add a tomato to this particular mix here. We're going to add a tomato. So we'll get our lettuce spun still here to get that dry. So we have onion, beet, red pepper, hot pepper. Now with the herb, we're going to add some oregano. We're going to use some oregano here in this one. And we're using a Greek oregano. This is the dried Greek oregano. So India's going to finish up this recipe. I'll do the wrapping here. She's going to put all of these things in the food processor along with the tomato. And we're going to put 1 tablespoon of the oregano into the food processor. We're going to use our rolling mat for this wrapping here. The thing goes right into our food processor.
Right before you go into that, how much chili, paprika?
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there. We haven't measured those out as yet. Okay. We're going to put 2 teaspoons of, that's 1 tablespoon of oregano. 1 tablespoon of oregano, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of paprika. And also, we're going to go back to our black salt, and we're going to put 1 teaspoon of the black salt.